It was a humid Tuesday morning in late August when I rolled into Pinewood Hollow, my rusted Toyota Corolla coughing its way down the oak-lined streets. I just finished my junior year of college, broke and burned out, and my mom, Ellen Grayson, had offered me a temporary refuge in her split-level ranch house. "Come home, Jake," she'd said over the phone, her voice warm but edged with something I couldn't quite place. "Take a breather. Figure out what's next." I'd expected a quiet summer, maybe some odd jobs, late-night talks with Mom over iced tea, and a chance to dodge the real world for a bit longer. What I didn't expect was to find Pinewood Hollow, a postcard-perfect suburb of pastel shutters and manicured lawns, teetering on the edge of madness. The trouble started with a note. I'd barely parked my car in the driveway, engine still ticking as it cooled when I spotted it. A scrap of paper wedged under my windshield wiper. It was written in sharp, angular handwriting, the kind that screamed passive-aggressive fury, and it was penned in purple ink. "No overnight street parking allowed. Violators will be reported to the Pinewood Hollow Residential Authority. Code 3.2 enforced. M. Talbot, Chief Regulator." Beneath the signature was a tiny, hand-drawn badge, complete with a star. I smirked, assuming it was some neighborhood busybody's idea of a prank, and tossed it onto the passenger seat. Mom, standing on the porch in her faded denim overalls, waved me over with a grin. "Welcome back, kid," she called, her short gray hair catching the sunlight. "Hope you're ready for the circus." Inside, over a plate of her famous blueberry muffins, she filled me in. "That's Marla Talbot's handiwork," she said, nodding toward the note I'd slapped on the counter. "She's the self-appointed queen of this place. Thinks she's the law because she owns a laminator and a megaphone." Mom took a sip of her coffee black, always black, and leaned back in her chair. The HOA dissolved back in 19 after a scandal with the treasurer and a hot tub fund. Marla didn't take it well. She's been writing her own rules ever since. I laughed, picturing a middle-aged woman in a power suit stomping around with a clipboard. "She's harmless, right?" I asked. Mom's smile tightened. "Mostly. Just don't cross her." The next morning, I woke to the sound of a whistle, shrill, insistent, like a referee gone rogue. I stumbled to the window, rubbing sleep from my eyes, and saw her. Marla Talbot, a wiry figure in a neon yellow windbreaker emblazoned with Pinewood Hollow enforcement in glittery letters. She was pacing our front yard, a measuring tape dangling from her belt, her auburn hair pulled into a severe bun. She blew the whistle again, then shouted, "Unapproved planter, height detected. Code 7.9 violation." Mom was already outside, arms crossed, her gardening gloves still on. "Marla," she said, her tone flat, "those daisies are 6 inches tall. What's the problem?" Marla adjusted her mirrored sunglasses and scribbled something on her clipboard. "They exceed the aesthetic uniformity threshold by 1.2 inches. I'll need a variance request by Friday, Ellen, or it's a citation." Mom just stared at her, then turned back to the house, muttering, "Good luck enforcing that, Your Majesty." I should have known then that Marla wasn't just a nuisance, she was a force of nature, a suburban hurricane with a vendetta. But I didn't see the full scope of it until 2 days later, when she escalated from petty notes to outright warfare. I'd gone out to grab the mail barefoot, still in my pajama pants, when I saw Mom lying face down on the neighbor's lawn, her wrists bound with a bright orange zip tie. Marla loomed over her, megaphone in hand, barking, "You're under citizen's arrest for non-compliant mailbox decoration." The mailbox in Quest Iona, cheery red thing with hand-painted sunflowers, sat innocently by the curb. Mom, to my shock, wasn't fighting. She was laughing, her shoulders shaking against the grass, calm as if this were a Sunday picnic. "Marla," she said between chuckles, "you're going to regret this one." That's when I learned 2 things. Pinewood Hollow had lost its damn mind, and Marla Talbot had no idea she'd just tangled with Ellen Grayson, retired police captain, 30 years on the force, and a woman who'd once stared down a bank robber with nothing but a flashlight and a glare. I'd grown up hearing Mom's stories bus gone wrong, late-night stakeouts, the time she disarmed a guy with a machete using a rolled-up newspaper. She didn't flaunt it, but she carried that quiet authority like a second skin. And now, here she was, zip-tied by a woman whose only badge came from a craft store. I ran outside, phone in hand, ready to call Sonny anyone, but Mom caught my eye and shook her head. "Let her dig her own grave, Jake," she said, voice steady. "This'll be over soon." Marla, us, kept ranting about mailbox integrity and community standards, her megaphone amplifying every word for the cul-de-sac to hear. Neighbors peeked out from behind curtains, some amused, some horrified. Then came the cavalry. Officer Tara Ruiz, a young deputy with a buzz cut and a no-nonsense stride, pulled up in her patrol car. She stepped out, surveyed the scene. Mom on the grass. Marla vying her megaphone like a septuran pinched the bridge of her nose. "Marla," she said, "what in God's name are you doing?" Marla spun on her, undeterred. "Back up, officer. I've apprehended a repeat offender. Ellen Grayson has OLAD multiple residential codes mailbox decoration, planter overgrowth, and parking her truck facing the wrong direction." Tara glanced at Mom, who gave a slight nod, powdered sugar from that morning's donuts still clinging to her shirt. "Marla," Tara said, voice dry as desert sand, "this is Ellen Grayson, retired captain of the Pinewood PD. She trained half the department, including me. You sure you want to keep this up?" Marla's face twitched, but she doubled down. "Retired or not, she's a menace to order. I have EVY Denke." She thrust a pastel-colored ticket at Tara, written in curling script that looked suspiciously like Comic Sans. Tara didn't even glance at it. She knelt, cut the zip tie with her pocket knife, and helped Mom to her feet. "Marla," she said, "there's no HOA. You're not a cop. You can't detain people. That's a felony. Walk away." Marla's bravado faltered, her sunglasses slipping down her nose. She muttered something about upholding standards, then retreated to her beige minivan, which sported a duct-taped siren and a hand-painted Pinewood Patrol logo. As she sped off, Mom dusted herself off and grinned at me. "Told you it'd be a circus," she said. "She's been itching for a fight since I moved here. Guess she found one." That should have been the end of Eat a Funny Story to Tell Over Beers, a quirky footnote in Pinewood Hollow's history. But Marla didn't slink away. She went quiet, which Mom said was worse. "People like her don't quit," she warned, sipping her coffee the next morning. "They regroup." She was right. The neighborhood felt different after Thattenser, like a string pulled too tight. Porches that used to host casual chats now bristled with unspoken questions. Lawn chairs appeared, angled toward the street, as if folks were waiting for the next act. And then, 3 days later, Marla struck again. It started with a flyer, slipped into every mailbox without a stamp. Pinewood Hollow order task, force emergency meeting. Thursday, 7 p.m. Location upon RSVP. Dress code, patriotic attire. The text was in bold Arial, with a clip art eagle clutching a gavel. Mom snorted when I showed her. "She's starting a militia," she said, tossing it into the recycling bin. A very khaki militia. I, on the other hand, was hooked. This wasn't just a power trip, Anna Maria, it was a descent into something darker. I wanted to see how far it went. So I RSVP'd, using a fake name Ethan Caldwell and a throwaway email. The response came within hours. "Meet at the old pump house, edge of town. Bring your commitment to order." The pump house was a crumbling relic from the 50s, surrounded by overgrown weeds and rusted pipes. When I arrived, 2 guys in matching red polos and cargo shorts stood guard, one clutching a walkie-talkie, the other a binder labeled personnel. They eyed me warily until I muttered, "Caldwell, here for the task force." Inside, the air smelled of mildew and desperation. About 20 people sat in folding chairs around a flickering projector, their faces a mix of boredom and unease. Marla stood at the front, wearing a camouflage blazer over a black turtleneck. Her husband, Phil, slouched beside her with a thermos and a defeated expression. The screen glowed with the title, Operation Restore the Hollow. Her presentation was a masterclass in delusion. She railed about VY Soil decay vectors and lawn ornament proliferation, flashing slides of offenses like uneven hedges and unapproved bird feeders. One chart ranked mailbox colors by community morale impact. Red, apparently, scored a 2 out of 10. Then she unveiled a map of Pinewood Hollow, dotted with black excess. These, she declared, jabbing at the screen, are the dissenters, the chaos agents, the ones who mock our VY Shown. One X sat dead center of her house. There are those who defy us, she said, her voice rising, who flaunt their lawlessness. We will root them out. The room clapped weakly, nervously, but it was enough to send a chill down my spine. Marla wasn't just playing cop anymore. She was building a cult. I slipped out early, heart-pounding, and told Mom everything. She didn't flinch. Let her preach, she said, flipping through a fishing magazine. She's got no teeth unless she acts. If she does, we'll bury her. But I wasn't so sure. Marla had followers now scared, compliant neighbors who'd rather nod along than fight. I wanted to stop her before she went further. That's when Tara and I hatched a plan. It started with Evy Denke. A neighbor, Mrs. Delaney, had borrowed Marla's GoPro after the zip tie incident, claiming she'd digitize it for historical records. Instead, she handed me a USB with raw footage Marla cuffing Mom. Marla staging a fake traffic stop the next week, screaming about Mom's truck being a blight on CIVYC harmony. I spent nights editing it into a 5-minute expose. Dramatic zooms on Marla's wild eyes, slow-mo replays of her while VY-ing a laminated chief regulator badge, a soundtrack of ominous strings. The final frame froze on her snarling at Tara, with text overlay, Pinewood's false protector. The chance to use it came at Marla's Hollow Harmony Gala, a self-congratulatory bash at the community center. She decked the place out with American flags and gold streamers, wearing a sequined sash that read Guardian of Order. Tara and I crashed it in borrowed suits, me with the USB, her with a decoy question about gutter alignment codes. As Marla accepted a plaque she'd awarded herself, I swapped the projector input. The lights dimmed, the music swelled, and Marla's unhinged rants filled the room. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phil dropped his head into his hands. One guy whispered, "She tackled the captain?" Marla lunged for the projector, but Tara blocked her. "Let it play," she said. "Truth's a good look for you." When it ended, the applause was thin, but real people waking up, seeing the absurdity. Marla, defiant, grabbed the mic. "A clever fiction," she cried. "But the fight for order continues." She stormed out, her polo-clad guards trailing uncertainly behind. I thought we'd won. I was wrong. The next day, a summons arrived typed on embossed letterhead, taped to our door. "You are ordered to appear before the Pinewood Hollow Disciplinary Council for violations of residential law. Failure to comply will result in expulsion. M. Talbot, High Chairwoman." Mom didn't laugh this time. She pulled the old HOA binder from the garage, dusted it off, and spent hours annotating it. "She wants a trial," she said, eyes glinting. "I'll give her one she'll never forget." The council convened in the community center, transformed into a makeshift courtroom with folding tables and a gavel fashioned from soup ladle. Marla presided in a black robe, clearly a Halloween costume, flanked by 6 loyalists as her jury. The room buzzed with neighbors, some filming, some whispering. Mom walked in wearing her old captain's jacket, the brass buttons gleaming. I trailed her, phone ready. Tara lingered in the back, off-duty but watchful. Marla opened with a litany of charges: vehicular intimidation, floral disarray, subversive conduct. She presented blurry photos: Mom's truck, a crooked rosebush, her sipping coffee on the porch in a bathrobe, public indecency. Mom waited, then stood, holding the HOA binder like a weapon. She read aloud, line by line, pro-VY-ing the HOA's dissolution, debunking Marla's invented codes. "You've got no authority," she said, voice cutting through the room. "You've got no bylaws. You've got nothing but a power trip and a hot glue gun." The crowd murmured. Marla sputtered, but Mom wasn't done. She produced a fight of V. White's neighbors who'd been harassed, coerced into compliance. Then Phil stepped forward, pale but resolute, a stack of papers in hand. She forged documents, he said, voice breaking. She threatened fines she couldn't enforce. I let it go too long. He set the EVY Denke down and sat, avoiding Marla's glare. Silence fell, heavy and final. Tara rose. We've got enough here for charges, she said, holding a police report. Assault, impersonation, extortion. One more move, Marla, and you're done. Marla froze, then grabbed her gavel and bolted, the robe flapping behind her. The room exhaled. People lingered, talking, laughing, weight lifted. Pinewood Hollow healed slowly. Neighbors waved again, rules softened. Gnomes multiplied like quiet rebels. Phil opened a woodworking shop, asking me to build his website. Mom retired fully fishing, grilling, blasting Springsteen. Tara and I started dating coffee, turned to dinners, a bond forged in chaos. Marla vanished. Last seen walking a terrier in a neighboring town, muttering about lost causes. The suburbs settled back into sleepy peace. But we never forgot how fast normal could turn nuts, or how a retired captain could dismantle a tyrant with nothing but the truth in a steady hand. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.